Hey, good evening. The Paul Report is coming right up. We got stuff to talk about, hopefully some discussion, and with any luck, we may even have an Eddie Zenga sighting. Ha. So stick around, the Paul Report is coming right up, and I promise not a jitter in sight. Yeah. Hit it! Hello! Oh, I'm wicked close tonight, aren't I? Woo! Yeah, let me go ahead and fix that, because that's not supposed to look like that. I gotta be out a little bit here, kids. Let's see. Let's bring that back just a little bit. Too far. All right, that works. Hello, everyone. All right, we had one little jitter. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. Welcome to the Paul Report. I am this guy. My name is Paul. This is, I guess, my report. It is, of course, May the 4th be with you. If you're watching live, if you're watching it on the replay, it's probably not May the 4th anymore. It's probably some other date after the 4th, because quite frankly, it couldn't be before the 4th, because then that would involve the Tachyon reporter. But we don't have a Tachyon reporter tonight. So I had a week last week, and I guess what I'm planning on doing is, well, first let me say, if this is your first time watching, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. The whole Paul Report staff appreciates you coming in and watching the show for the first time. Hopefully you'll come back, because the staff here gets really excited when people come back for a second and third time. So what I am hoping is that there are people watching, and if you could indulge me in putting something into the chat to let me know that I am broadcasting, because last week we had a couple issues with the broadcast of this show. And I will be hitting up the chat in just a moment to say hello to people who have said something into the chat. So again, if it's your first time, thank you. The staff, who are locked in a closet behind me, thank you as well. If you're returning, well, golly gosh darn, you know I already love you, so thanks for coming back. All right, so I am going to spend a good part of the show tonight talking about what happened last week with the show and what happened with me and what I wanted to talk about last week, because I feel it's important. And while your initial knee-jerk reaction might be one of, to quote Nancy Kerrigan, why? I can only say that, and I'm sorry if I'm being dramatic, but it could save your life. Come with me if you want to live. All right. So last week's show, okay, if you want to call it a show, it really wasn't a show. It was more of a lesson in how bad things can go in a short amount of time. Now, I'm going to start with the low-hanging fruit first, because this is the stuff that's easy to reconcile. Everyone knows who's been on, watched the show before. If you're new, again, you don't know. But if you're a returning guest, returning visitor, you know that we like to play Hangman every week, every couple of weeks we play Hangman. And last week, every week I typically give a hint. And the hint is usually not directly related, but it's kind of related and all that stuff. So I gave a hint last week, and the hint was it's absurd. Okay? The hint of the word was it's absurd. Now, for the way I was thinking of this on a normal show, I was playing around with the audience last week, and the actual word was absurd. So in the hint, it is absurd, I gave away the word. Now, again, on a normal show, I think it would have been received a little bit more on a funnier level, more of the ha-ha I was looking for, the ha-ha. Spock, you green-blooded inhuman bastard. Ha ha. Instead, people were jumping ship. I remember Dan Capella was here. He's like, I'm out of here. And he left. A few people also jumped ship. So it was a thing. And I feel bad about it in a way, but trust me. You didn't win last week, Dan. Mark got it right last week. You didn't get it right. You were second. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. That's what it is, Dan. And Mark was first. I have the tape. If you want me to show it back at some point, I will. But I love that you're here, Dan. Thank you. And you do come back, I have to admit. Let me see. Andre's in the chat tonight. Hey, Andre. Lola happens at 8:55. It's 5 minutes before 9 that Lola comes in for 5 minutes, and I show off a bunch of pictures. And honestly, the pictures haven't changed, so you've already watched it once. So it's, you haven't missed anything. All right, so let's talk about last week's show. In order to talk about last week's show, I got to talk about a few things that were happening behind the scenes. Okay? So we have to rewind this tape. Now, last week's show was like what? The 27th, the 28th. I forget what date it was. But whatever it was, the previous Sunday night. So that would be a week ago, 2 weeks ago this coming Sunday, the 23rd of April. I was going to bed. And please stick with me on this, okay? Hang with me for Stan's here. Awesome. Stick with me, okay? This is an important story. All right. So last week, Sunday, I was going to bed. It was like 12:15. I just finished watching TV, and I said, you know what? It's time to go to bed, and that's when I was tired. So as I got into bed, I was feeling this kind of like my heart beating. It was beating like hard. It was beating, and I was like, this is weird, but it's happened in the past. And it always lasted maybe 5-10 minutes tops. I do some breathing, and it goes away. Now, it didn't go away after 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes turned into 30 minutes. 30 minutes turned into an hour, and I'm still in bed. Now it's about 1:30, 1:40 in that area. So I get out of bed because I'm very uneasy. I'm very jittery and whatever. So I get out of bed to not disturb my bride. And I go out to the couch. I wrap myself in a blanket. I get nice and warm. And it just, again, I'm breathing. Couldn't calm it down. So finally, I took my Apple Watch. And I'm going to kind of demonstrate what I did because it did a lot to help me. So I'm going to change. Now, I had to really jury rig a camera here to do this. So please forgive me and forgive my background scene here. It's kind of messy behind the scenes here. All right. So let's go to this. All right. So here you see my watch, and it's on the calendar. Awesome. Okay. So there's this program on the earlier watches that says ECG. Okay. So I'm going to press that. All right. And what I'm going to do, let me get back to a reset. So that night, I did this. I put my finger on the crown, and it times down. Now, I have to hold my finger here very still for 30 seconds, okay? So we're just going to do this for 30 seconds. Stay with me. Don't leave, okay? So I'm doing this. Hey, Mary's here. Yay, Mary. Welcome back from your trip. Hope golfing was fun. All right, so here I am. I'm holding this down. Now, granted, I had to put my phone on backwards so it looked good on screen. The things I'll do for my art. Okay, so here we go. And 3, 2, 1. All right. So this comes back and it says sinus rhythm. That means that my heart is in a normal rhythm. Now that night hold on. Should come back to me. How about me? Hey, boo-boo. What about me? Oh, because it's not even on the switcher. There we go. There we go. Hello. So that said sinus rhythm just now. The other night it said AFib or atrial fibrillation. All right. Now, I was a little bit freaked out because, you hear AFib on like ER and shows like that, and it's usually someone on a table where they're ready to do clear, And so I'm kind of having a little bit of a wiggy moment, but I thought, all right, let me see if it goes away. So for the next 10, 15 minutes, I'm testing myself much like that, like you just saw. And again, each time it comes up with AFib. So at this point, I'm thinking, I probably need some medical assistance. So I gingerly wake up my wife, and now at this point, it's a little after 2. Okay, I wake up my wife gingerly, and I say to her, honey, I need you to kind of wake up and hear what I'm about to say. And she wakes up and she gets to it pretty quickly. And it's like, my heart is in AFib and I think I need to call 911. Now, anyone who knows me is that I am not about calling 911 unless it's a true emergency. Okay. So here I am dialing 911. And of course, I live so close to the Revere line that I got the Revere 911 and then they patched me over to Malden. So go figure, right? So I tell them what's happening, and I'm talking to this woman on the phone. She's asking me to check my heart rate and stuff like that, and they're calling the emergency folks, and she's on the phone with me, and she's asking me to count the beats. Now in AFib, the beats are all over the place. Sometimes it stops for a few seconds, and then the beats are all over. So I'm trying to count the beats on my wrist, and I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's all over the place, and it's just near impossible. So finally, the fire department shows up. They're checking me out, and then finally the ambulance shows up. And all this time, everyone's confirmed that I'm in AFib. Now, I'll continue with the story in a few moments, but if you're not sure what AFib is, atrial fibrillation, it's an irregular heartbeat caused by an abnormal heart rhythm that makes up the upper heart chambers, the atria, and it makes it quiver. So AFib itself is not life-threatening, which I later found out. The complications from AFib can be very serious, which I also found out. It can increase the risk of heart problems, including heart failure, as well as a risk of stroke. I didn't know any of that. Now, a few years back, I had an experience with stroke-like symptoms when I had Bell's palsy. And, my face drooped and all this stuff. It was weird, but they ruled out stroke. But then again, now I'm thinking maybe, who knows, So what I believe, if I remember correctly, I think I had paroxysmal fibrillation. So what it is, it's that the heart will go in and out of normal rhythm on its own. And that's why the symptoms come and go, and why you may have symptoms at home, but not at your doctor's office. And it's a spontaneous return to the sinus rhythm. It doesn't mean the heart has actually returned to normal permanently. The problem, it may come and go. It may recur frequently, as often as every day or two. But because the risk of complications related to intermittent AFib, it is important to seek medical help, much like I did without delay. Now, I get to the hospital. Now I'm on the gurney. And I remember the ambulance driver saying to me, they say that people coming in by ambulance don't get special treatment. And she looks at me and she goes, They definitely do. And she was right. They got me right into a room, got me hooked up. Some guy came in and put the IV in my arm. Kind of at the time I thought it was good, but when I saw him take it out, it was like big chunks of flesh coming. No, I'm just kidding. But it was all right. So they started taking blood from me right away. And while with the blood test, what they did is they did a cardiac troponin test. Now, what this test is, it tests the level of troponin in my blood. And so when the heart is well, it was explained to me, troponin is in the heart muscle cells, and it doesn't actually reach the blood. The only time it reaches the blood is when the heart has been damaged in some way, shape, or form. So, like if an artery is blocked, the muscle cells are damaged because of a lack of oxygen, troponin will appear in the blood. In my case, because of the AFib, the heart was working overtime to try to get into rhythm, that troponin was released into my blood. Now this is the weird thing, okay? That I was told in the hospital. Now again, honey, please chime in if I get this wrong. I heard that a number under 100 is okay. All right? A number under 100 was okay for troponin levels in the blood. All right? Now, I was reading tonight on the University of Washington Medical, a bunch of places, that a normal level of troponin in one's blood is 0 to 14 ng per liter. Now, ng, I'm guessing, is nanogram, maybe? I don't know. Nitrogram? I don't know. If anyone knows an ng something gram, please put it in the chat. So, I'm going to show you my blood results, okay, for all the troponin test that they gave me, okay? Let's see. Maybe I'll just go to, no, I can't go to that. All right. So the first troponin T test I got had a level, nope, that's not the first one. My goodness. Let's go back one here. Is that the first one? First. No, there had to be one before there. Sorry. Yes, there was. I'm sorry. There was one before. Okay. The first one I had came up with 27. Okay. That was my first one. I have a lot of metachlorines. Yeah. All right. The second one, and I don't know the time difference between these, but this is the second one. Okay. Hold on. Gotta go up to the next one. Okay. Second one went up to 64. Okay. And you can see the level here. It says normal 0 to 14. That dark area there says 0 to 14. Okay. All right. Now, a little while later, this one doesn't even give me a slide scale. It just says 88. A normal of 0 to 14. Now I'm at 88. Okay. 0 to 14 is normal. I'm at 88. All right. Then the last one they did before they kicked me out, 97. Okay. I had a troponin score of 97, where 0 to 14 is normal. I had a 97. So I don't know what the fudge he meant by being under 100 was good. I don't know. All right. I'm going to kind of go to the chat because I think Dan and Andre have gone rogue on me. Let's see. Not the Malden Hospital. Not metachlorines. Not MG. It's N as in Nancy G. 27 is not a great SAT score. Let's see. Okay, Dan, bringing Project Triangle into this. All right, thanks. So here I am with troponin in my blood. I got, I don't have oxygen on me or anything, but I do have, the IV in. They're They got the blood pressure cuff on me. And I'm there for about 12 hours. And at the end of it all, I have an appointment with the cardiologist. I have an echocardiograms scheduled. I have new pills that I'm taking, 1 to slow my heart rate and 2 to like an anti-stroke medicine to ward off the possibility of stroke, at least decrease the possibility of stroke. All right. So, that was my Sunday into Monday. Now, leading up to all of that, up before that point, I thought, well, God damn it. At that point, I thought to myself, what is it that could have brought me to this? They say it could be stress levels. It could be a lot of things that bring this on. So what didn't definitely bring it on, but one of the things that's been plaguing my household, and that's what caused the issue last week with the show, is that my internet connection has been faulty for weeks. Okay. Now, I am going to both in the same conversation lament about Comcast, and then I'm going to praise Comcast over and beyond the normal praising. So here is the start of the story. My internet service was going out, and then it would come back, and it would go out, and it would come back. So what I found myself doing is rebooting the modem. Takes about 8 minutes to reboot, and then everything would work fine for days, maybe a couple weeks, what have you. Nah, not a couple weeks. It would work maybe for a week. Okay, then it would start fading out again. But now the reboots takes like 2 or 3 reboots, 4 reboots to get it back to a point where it works for several hours now. Okay, got to the point a week ago today that it just completely would not work. I was getting meter readings of under 1 meg per second, under 1 meg when I would test the modem speed, okay? When you're normally getting 800 megabytes per second, and now you're getting less than 1, you can't do anything. Nothing works. So finally, I had called Comcast during this period. Nice gentleman came out, fantastic guy. He changed a few things outside the house. He helped me rearrange the home run where all the cable wires meet at the splitter. We helped me rearrange those. We just brought it down to 2, the one that goes to the 3rd floor where I am and one that goes to the basement where I am during the day working. And it worked for another week. And then it went down. So I had another tech come out from Comcast. Again, very nice guy. His name was Paul. He'd been with the company 25 years. We were shooting the shit about, whatever it is people who work in the same place talk about. He puts his meter reader on, and he tests from my house to the pole, to the world. And he's like, look at all these spikes happening. He shows me all these spikes. And he connects to the internal. We're not seeing all the same spikes. Some other spikes, but not the same spikes. Okay? So he says, this is what you got to do. You got to call National Grid and have them come down and do a ground fault check at the pole to your house. I said, okay. And what if that shows up nothing? He says, well, then you got to call an electrician and have them check your house for any ground faults. Okay, that's not the issue. Then call us back. Okay. I called National Grid on a Friday. Nothing was done. Okay, I told them what I needed to happen. They said, okay, we'll send someone out. I called them on Saturday. I talked to a wonderful person named Krista, and she says, yeah, I don't see anything for yesterday. I'll send someone out. No one shows up. On Sunday, I call back. I talked to this witchy woman. I forget her name. I don't even think she said it, but she's giving me attitude. I'm like, look, this is the 3rd day I'm calling. Well, I show someone go out there on Friday, they changed the neutral, and then they left. I go, well, my wife sits at the window where the pole is across the street, and she didn't see anybody. Well, we were there. Okay. Can you have someone come back and check it, please? Because I think there's a problem. So this guy comes out. His name was, I forget. It might have been like Ethan. Ethan was awesome. Ethan was awesome. Okay. He says, you know what? I'm just going to change the whole wire from the pole to the house, get you all new fittings, everything. Everything will be brand new. I said, you're the best. So we cut the power to the house. He takes about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. Everything comes back up. The modem comes back up, and it's still happening. That's on Sunday. Monday, I call Comcast, and I say, look, I need someone out here this afternoon to check blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, I called an electrician. Never called this electrician before. He's out of Melrose. His name is Nick Tomazak or something like that. Fantastic. Got his people out there that afternoon. Didn't charge me extra for an emergency. Came out there and they looked at everything. They tested everything. There were no ground faults. Everything is working perfectly in my house. And I'm like, whew, that was a close one. Because, we had electrical work done when the house flooded back in 2017. I'm thinking anything that needed to be changed was changed back at that time. Okay, so now Comcast comes out in the afternoon. I'm like, yeah, we're going to get to the root of this. This is going to get fixed. Yeah. So he comes in and I tell him what the issue is. I tell him what I'd like to do. And he wasn't too happy with me telling him what I'd like to do. Okay. So he's like, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. So he does a few things, starts checking meter readings. He's like, well, the signal looks fine to me, but he sees that my modem speed is crap. And then we do this back and forth dance. He's going upstairs to my third floor, checking up here. He's going down to the basement, looking at the splitters, and nothing is changing. So we get the modem. He brings in a new modem, and one of the fancy white ones. And we hook it up. And it's working for about maybe 10 minutes, and then it drops off again. He changes out the coupling on the other side of the plate on my wall that has the cable jack on. He changes that out. We start it back up again. Oh, now it's working. Okay. But here, let's test this. So we plug in my Ethernet wire into the jack that goes down to the basement to my office, and then the speed goes down like that. It goes, well, that's your issue. And I'm like, no, it's not, because everything's fine. It's like, well, maybe wires got crossed. I go, this has been here for almost 4 years now. There are no wires getting crossed. It's not like the mice are in the wall kind of, oh, let's mess this up for them. No. So he goes, well, I'll be outside for a few minutes if you get, and he hightailed it the fudge out of my neighborhood. All right. So he left my house giving me a false answer to a problem and saying, and he wasn't inept. He wasn't dumb. I mean, he knew his stuff, but he should have known better that I'm a freaking employee, and not that I should be treated any better, but he's got to respect my knowledge of the process and what's going on. So he did say, call back. We'll have a supervisor come out, blah, blah, blah. So I call back that night. I get this great fella. He was, where was he living? I forget his name. It might have been, I don't remember. But he got me an appointment for Wednesday. So through the grace of my brother Robert, I talked to him and he talked me off the ledge. I was going to say something, but I can't repeat it. So I just had to kind of divert the conversation. So forget I said anything. I never said anything about my brother Robert. All right. So come Wednesday, appointment be 10 and 12. Okay. Guy gets there about 15 past 10. All right. Very much on time. Guy gets out of the car. His name is Al. Great guy. He's like, yeah, what's going on? And I tell him what's going on. He's like, He goes, now, it's funny. This was set up as what they call a poll-only visit. Now, that's right, Mary. Where does the answer lie? Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. And this is going to tie everything together as to why I'm so crazy. So Al says, oh, this is what we call a poll-only visit. And I'm like, well, it was supposed to be a supervisor tech coming out. He's like, really? I go, yeah, they just told me to check the pole. But he comes over. Now, every tech that has come to my house has gone to the outside, has unscrewed the wire on the side of my house, plugged it into their thing, and tested signals. Al comes over, pulls the plug off, goes like this, and water starts dripping out of my coax. 3 other techs did this. Al's the only one who noticed the water, okay? He also saw that the signals were fine, but he did see the signal spikes as well. So what Al did, one guy, you gave all that power to one guy? Where's his asshole partner? Anyone tell me what movie that's from? Actually, instead of power, it was actually Coke is what it was. Water dripping out of the coax, okay? So Al goes and he replaces the wire from the pole across the street to my house and ties everything together, okay? He doesn't just bring it to the house. He brings it into the house, right to my patch panel. All new wiring. From the pole into my house, all new wiring. Al meant business, okay? We get everything set up. We turn the modem on. Boom. Speed is available. But will it be there in 10 minutes? That's the key. So we wait. Ding. 10 minutes later, I'm testing the speed. Still good. Okay, let's go another 10 minutes. Still good. Now I'm at 40 minutes after this. And he's waiting around for all of this. 40 minutes later, speed is still good. Problem solved. Water in the wire that 3 other techs missed. Now, Al's supervisor is on vacation this week. I am going to flood him with praise for Al when he gets back through our internal email and Teams thing. I am going to rave about him because he's the only one out of 4 that figured it out when it could have been figured out weeks ago. It probably could have been figured out weeks ago if they had just done a little bit more digging. It was a flooded wire. It was a flood. It was a denial of service attack by H2O. That's what it was. And it just kept getting worse and worse until it was unusable. So the moral of the story for this one is, 1, there were a lot of smart people working in different services, okay? Your cable, electric, whatever service industry, wait staff, bankers, accountants, lawyers, whatever. There were good ones. The trick is finding the good ones and don't get sucked into a bad one, okay? Of the 3 guys, the first 2 were actually very nice guys and they knew what they were talking about. I mean, the first guy did the best he could. I don't know why he didn't notice the water, but he did everything else. And he did help raise our speeds up. The second guy, very knowledgeable with the signals and what to do as far as the electric company and, hey, you guys. Sorry, electric company. And getting the electrician in. Okay, all I feel were necessary steps. The guy that came over after the electrician, he was good up until a certain point, but I think his pride was hurt when he couldn't solve the issue and then came up with some bullshit excuse just to get himself out of there. And I really should say something, but I'm not gonna because I don't like getting people into jackpots like that because I'm sure there was probably some sort of, like, you really shouldn't make up things that aren't really happening. So, Anyway, so that was the story of last week. So when I went to do my show last week, I was dealing with what I thought was internet that was going to be working okay, but in fact, it just failed miserably. So That's what everything was just utter nonsense. And then the hangman game, that just threw everybody over the edge. Threw them all over. It's done. Dan Capella's like, F you, I'm out of here. Pulls the ripcord, floating down into space. F that Paul guy. Whee! Okay. All right, we have a question. What was the weather like between the first guy and the last guy? In other words, did it recently rain? Yes, it did recently rain. I asked Al that question. He said the amount of water that was in there, it was saturated. So, yes, we had rain in that time period, but that problem was existing like 3 weeks prior to the rain happening en masse. Like there was a few days of a lot of rain, but the problem existed long before that. And in any rate, you think of it this way, you've checked everything electrical, you've checked everything internally. Why wouldn't the next step, regardless of what signals are happening, why wouldn't the next step be, well, let's replace the wire? It takes an hour of time to do, okay? In this way, we can completely eradicate anything that's our fault, meaning the company. That's what the electric company did. Let's take us out of the equation. Let's put a new line in. That's what they should have done, on a second or third visit. Just swap out the line, see if it works. If it didn't, then we'd have to try something else. But here we are, 2 weeks without solid service, me stressing the F out, having a near heart attack. All right, it wasn't a heart attack, it was AFib. So I don't know. I just think that it could have been handled better, but I'm glad that, 3 of the 4 were knowledgeable. 1 actually went the extra step, and 1 for about the last quarter of his visit got a failing grade because he created an issue that was not the issue just so he could get out of there because he couldn't solve it. So I love my company that I work for. They saved my life in more ways than one. And if you don't know what I mean by that, I was unemployed with 2 young kids living at my mother's house under what I can only call hostile overhead. And so when I got my job at Comcast, and they plucked me to do a job that I was overqualified for. Overqualified? No, I shouldn't say I was underqualified or overqualified. I was just qualified for a different job. I was a tech, and they put me in a billing position. But you know what? It was my entry point. And then I rose up through the ranks to where I am now, which is a very comfortable place. I love my job. I love the company I work for. So I still will sell them to anybody who wants to listen. I know that like our buddy Ken who comes on here, he works for Verizon, and he'll do the same for Verizon. There are good to each company and there's bad to each company. I've been with each company, for service-wise, and at first I preferred Verizon. I'll be honest with you. Back in the early 2000s, I would swear at the Comcast cable because it sucked so bad. Customer service was horrible. And then sometime around 2009, 2010 in that area, the customer service got like this, overhaul of some kind. And then I would call and people were actually helpful. No word of a lie. I wasn't working for them then. This is just my own observation. And then I got to work for them and I got to be one of the people on the other side of the phone. And you customers are crazy. Nutty. Think about this. Here's what my sister Janice said this to me. She's like, ever since you started working at Comcast, I've been a lot nicer to the people on the other side of the phone because of you. And I thought about that. I'm like, that's great. Thank you. And I'm sure they appreciate it too. I like to think that I'm one of the people on the phone that when you get me, you're getting like top tier customer service, because that's how we feel what I give. Okay? I may not know the answer to everything, but if I don't, I will find it. And I'm not going to lie to you to tell you something just to placate you and just to get you off the phone. Yeah, your bill will be fine next month. Don't worry about it. I don't do that. Even if people are going to be angry with me for saying it, I'll say, look, here's the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. You're responsible for that part of the bill. What the blah, 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 blah. And then I talk to them and I try to calm them down and explain why. And at the end, most times they're okay. Other times they like F you and hang up. Okay, I did my best. But the thing is I maintain telling the truth about things. Because I've been on the phone with customer service and they outright lied. And I've actually heard people at my job years ago when I was in residential. I heard people say things that weren't true. And it would infuriate me. But they don't work there anymore, so that's cool. So yeah, it give the other person on the side of the phone a chance to help you. If you're going to come in hot if you have to, but choose not to. Choose to hold back your anger at a situation and don't say, I don't mean to take this out on you, but because all we get is the shit end of the stick on that. I don't mean to take it out on you, but I am going to take it out on you because you're the person on the phone representing Comcast. Never mind the fact that it was some, wind that blew your wire down in the middle of a hurricane and you're expecting to be able to watch The Bachelor tonight and people aren't getting out there to fix your wire quick enough. You know what? Calm down and let Comcast handle it, okay? I don't speak on behalf of Comcast. I speak on behalf of my experience working in my purview of what I did in my job. And these are real things. We got a person calling whose electricity went out, but they had a generator and they wanted to know why their cable wasn't working. Seriously? Do you understand that it takes power to run the things on the power line? And if the power is down, then those things are not getting any power, which means it's not sending a signal to your home. Do you get that? Genius? So, long and short of it, I got to take a drink. Yummy seltzer. I just think that if everybody, calling into any kind of help desk or any kind of support has their ducks in a row, their information handy, the reason for the call, the problems, all the stuff that we're going to ask for, if you have that either up here solid or on a piece of paper before you call us, you're going to find things go a whole lot better, okay? The less you yell at us, the more we're going to listen, because I'll admit, when someone was yelling at me, I was I was holding the phone, my little headphone, and what I would do is I would take my headphone off and I would place it on the table, and I could still hear the person yelling. I'm just not letting them yell in my ear. And when I hear them calm down, I put my headphone back on and said, I'd be happy to assist you. I want to tell you this little story because this is a fun one. This is a good one. So it was one of my, within the first 6 months of being in billing, and I was still kind of green. I was still trying to get my footing. It's a new type of job for me, a different side of customer service for me. I'm usually dealing with the tech stuff, not billing. Okay. And that's all I did was billing. So what happened was this guy calls up and says, and please, for any kids at home that might be watching, there are going to be a couple of F-bombs in this. And I allow myself one per show, but this is one of those special TV 38. We're going to show the Deer Hunter uncut and unedited. So there's going to be some swear words. So just brace yourself. Okay. This guy calls up. I answer the phone. Thank you for calling. My name is Paul. How can I help you? You shut your fucking mouth. First thing out of his mouth was that. I'm like, okay. And he proceeds to tell me that his internet is down and he's a day trader and he's losing thousands upon thousands of dollars because our service is down. And he's just ripping me a new one, keeps yelling and screaming, F this, F that. No lie, 3 minutes, I let him go, okay? Just let him talk, okay? And then it goes silent. I'm still not saying anything, okay? And then finally, after about 30 seconds of silence, it goes, "Are you still there?" And I'm like, "Is it okay for me to talk now, sir?" I became such a dink. "Am I allowed to talk now, sir?" "Yeah, what are you going to say?" I said, "Well, first of all," and I explained to him that with residential service, we do not do immediate trips out for residential service on internet, okay? At least at the time we did it. Okay, our turnaround time is like 24 hours on residential internet. Now, if you happen to be running a business from your home on your residential internet, as my good friend Andre says, that's on you. Okay, you cannot blame us for you losing thousands upon thousands of dollars. So he comes back and again starts swearing at me. It's like, "I want a $5,000 credit." And I thought to myself, I want a pony. And he just wouldn't let it go. He starts screaming and yelling. I'm like, "Sir, I'm going to tell you exactly what the next person's going to tell you. They're going to say no. And I could happily send a tech out and let you know the first available and blah, blah, blah." And he's like screaming, "I want to talk to a supervisor." I'm like, "I could not be happier that you said that." I get the call of the supervisor. They gave him a what for, and he went away and never heard from him again. So it just, I don't know. It's baffling to me. Well, it's not baffling. I was one of those people that scream at customer service reps. And on occasion, I might still. Maybe a little. Okay? But it's usually for good reason. It's usually if I get dissed or disrespected first. Like the woman at the electric company that I called on Sunday, she's like repeating back to me things that like I already know and I already said. And I'm like, I actually at one point I sounded like the Matt Damon version of Judge Kavanaugh when they asked him a question. He goes, "Asked and answered, asked and answered." And that's what I was wanted to say that, but I said, "I already answered that question. Look, Missy, don't talk down to me." And I was getting all belligerent. But anyway, I tried to be nice at first, but then she lost her shit. Andre, my favorite was working on Saturday at Comcast. I get a call from a Verizon customer saying their service doesn't work. When I asked why they called us, they said Verizon customer service was closed. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. You're right, Miri. You get more with sugar. That's right. Sometimes there are more sugar in your tank than grease on your axle. I thought you were saying that you get more from us. You get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, the thing with what happened here led to part of, I think, my AFib. I can only tell you that I am more of a supporter of Apple and Apple products because of the Apple Watch and the fact that it gave me the reading of AFib, because I would have just went to bed or tried to go to bed thinking it was still anxiety. And who knows how much damage could have been done if I just left that alone. Because I think when they gave me the aspirin inside the ambulance, I think that's when everything started to calm down a little bit. So who knows what would have happened. So in all seriousness, any watch that can do like an ECG or your heart rate or an O2 monitor, like the Apple Watch, I suggest getting. I mean, they're not short money, but they're also not totally expensive. You can get them used and what have you. I think anything over the 5 or the 4, I forget what version mine is, but there's a certain version over that has these features on it. So we got 10 minutes left. You guys want to play Hangman? We got one more game of Hangman. I promise it's a real game. I'm not going to hint you into Aspirin in the Ambulance. That is a good band name. That is a good band name. Do you guys want to? We got a few people here. Do you guys want to play Hangman? I'm not starting yet, Dan. Just a couple yeses and hey, Bob's here. Hey, Bob. Welcome to the show. All right, let's play a game of Hangman, shall we? Let's do this. All right, let me pull up my Hangman. Well, there you go. That's how you do it, Stan. You marry a nurse. They take care of you. No, it's not absurd today. I gotta be honest with you. It's not absurd. All right, what number is that? Oh, no, I don't need to do that. All right, we'll do this. Why is it not changing? I don't understand why it's not changing. Let's see. No, that's not it. Oh, I guess I'll just do it manually. Let's see. It's plugged. Ah, there we go. All right, there we go. I'm not counting any letters until I say go. And not that one. The next time I say it. So the hint is, I'm not going to write it all out, but maybe I will. Mostly non-existent. Now. All right, that's your hint. Mostly non-existent now. Okay. Let's go. And while they're doing that, I'm going to read Mary's message. It's not poltergeist. That's counted as a guess. An F from Bob. No F. I'm going to give you an I for that guess there, Dan. The letter U. You're funny, Dan. No U. Let's see. We got an F and a U. F U. All right. Let's get some more letters going here, kids. Oh, we're supposed to do the music. Come on, it's something that doesn't exist very much anymore. All right, let's see. Bob came up with an A. No A. Rich came up with a P. There is a P. All right. All right, an S. No S. H. I think Rich is onto something here. There is an H. Is there an E? There is an E. It's not pterodactyl, or as they say in Bugs Bunny, pterodactyl. Is there a T? Keith Franklin? Damn, this is a good show. We already did E. U. There is no U. We'll put another I in. Okay. Someone came up with L. No L. We'll put a finger. Sorry. O for Rich. Got a couple O. There is no L. But look at that. Andre comes in with a C. A bouncy C. No C's. Put a mouth in. Is there an N? Oh, come on, Rich. You gotta know it by now. If you don't, this isn't like Wheel of Fortune. Not making any money off every letter. Just guess it. Keith comes up with the word phone booth. Oh, Rich came up with it first. Sorry, Keith. It is phone booth. Alrighty. Excellent. Great job, guys. Great job. Yep, and there's Dan at the end. Dan, I'm sorry you didn't win. Mary beat you, Andre beat you, Keith beat you, and Rich beat you. So, you've been beaten like you stole something, Dan. Alrighty. Well, that was a game of, it's West Coast. It's not West Coast lag. It really isn't, Dan. No such thing. No such thing. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. All right, let's see. All righty. That was fun. I had a good time with that. My throat keeps getting dry. All righty. So I guess that's going to be it for this week, unless you guys have anything else that you want to talk about. Yes, the Comcast throttle. There you go. That's what it is. Again, Rich, because you're here, I'm going to mention this. So Rich Lerman and I are in the process of creating a documentary. And this documentary, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago when I had internet, is about the sport of candlepin bowling. And Rich came to me with an idea, and he said, hey, I want to go to different bowling centers and raise money for cancer. And I said, that's a great idea. And he says, what do you think? He texts me this. And all of a sudden, my brain starts going, and it exploded. Because anyone who knows me in my life, I've wanted to do a documentary. And I always thought I would do a documentary on psoriasis because I suffer with it, and it's been such a big part of my life that I wanted to do it. But when Rich came up with this, I'm like, you know what? I think it would be fun to document his going around and doing this bowling thing. Then I thought, it needs more. And then I said to myself, well, how about if we do a little bit of the history of candlepin bowling? I'm like, that's good. Rich bowling and the history of bowling. That's cool. But what else? We need a third thing. I said, well, how about if we do interviews? We'll interview people when we go around and just talk to people about candlepin. And then I presented all this to Rich. He's like, man, that's crazy good. So that's what we're doing. We're in the process of piecing this together. I've been kind of held back because of things been going on here. I know Rich had been held back from a few things that he was going through on his end. So I'm hoping that we're both over our health-related things and can start devoting a little bit more time to doing it. I know I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I know Rich is too. So I know I mentioned it to a few people here, but some people weren't here the last time. If you've ever enjoyed candlepin bowling in your life and you want to talk about it maybe as a kid or as an adult, maybe where you live, Baltimore, that you don't have candlepin bowling, or South Carolina, or any of these places where you don't have candlepin, talk about your experiences maybe when you lived here in Malden, went to CW Homes and such places. You could talk about your experiences bowling at, say, the Granada or Charles Street or Henry's or any of the places that around. The one that was down the basement at the end of Pleasant Street, near the old government center. Well, when you come this summer, we'll be in the process of filming, probably still. So we'll definitely love to get you on an interview, Keith, about your experiences back in the day, if you were said bowler. Maybe you're a 10-pin bowler now, but you hate it compared to candlepin. It doesn't matter. We want to talk to a lot of different people, get a lot of different views. We're going to talk about the history. We're going to go out to the Worcester Historical Museum, where they have a lot of stuff on candlepin, because I don't know if you knew, but candlepin was invented in Worcester. And I got the whole history right here. I spoke to a nice author, Sue Bergman, I think her name is, or Bregman. I apologize by butchering your name, but I do have it in my document somewhere. She wrote a great book on the history of candlepin bowling. She's allowed me to use that as a source. And I'm going to get her to interview as well. So we're lining a lot of things up for this year. So reach out if you want to be part of it. And there was one other thing I wanted to talk about for this group, talking about. God damn, I forget what it was. Well, you know what? If it was important, I'll remember it later, and I'll talk about it next week. If I never remember, then you're not going to remember either. Yeah, it's true. All right. I want to thank everyone for coming on tonight. This was a great show. I enjoyed myself, and when I enjoy myself, it's an event. No, I'm glad you guys had a good time. Mary, thank you so much. I did want to finish reading. The reason why I'm thanking her, she did put something in here. Let's see. Another trash bag, totally stiff, dead cat inside, wrapped in a blanket. Oh, people are dumb. People are so dumb. All right, everybody. I would thank each of you individually, but I'm afraid I would miss somebody. So thank you all. I think it goes to show that more people coming in. I love having people on here. Keith, love you. I can't wait to see you this summer. Yeah, it'll be good to see you, man. It really will. And I'm getting a bit verklempt. Yeah, that's it. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's have a good Thursday. Show's going to be changing days at some point because the summer league's starting. I don't want to leave Thursdays because I love Thursdays, but I'll figure something out for another day of the week. So thank you ever so much. Have a good week. We'll see you next week on The Paul Report. How about the end credits, man? Okay, here we go. Ready? In 3, 2, silent, 1. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Here we go.